Hi guys, welcome back to the Walk Beside Me podcast, where I talk about how the gospel of Jesus Christ applies to parenting. My name is Brooklyn Bird, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about 6 words that are limiting your agency and the way you view the agency of others. I am super excited to talk about this today because, well, honestly, I'm excited every single episode. Everything I share is something that has changed my life, changed the way I function with my daughter, in my marriage, and honestly in my relationship with anyone. It's made my life so much better. It's made life more lighthearted, more exciting. I've felt more empowered. Those are the things I promise you guys if you can take this to heart and apply it in your lives. Let's jump right in. Our words are powerful. I think most of us can agree on that. There are lots of scriptures that talk about how our words are important, and even though language is completely made up by humans, God cares about how we use it because it is a tool, and I think he wants us to use any tool in the best way possible, even man-made tools like language. I'm going to go through this list of 6 words that are limiting your agency, and then after that I'm going to just talk about some scriptures that back up the point that our words matter and we need to be careful about them. When I talk about some of these words, you might be inclined to think, Brooklyn, I think you're overthinking this. It's probably just because you're a lawyer, or maybe because you studied editing and publishing. You probably just care about words way more than most people do, and this doesn't really matter. And it might be true that I care more than most people. Regardless, I don't care what educational background you have or job you're in. I want you to pay attention to these words because they are affecting the way that you think about yourself and others and the way you approach life. So the very first one is the word can't, cannot. What does that mean? That word literally means that you are not physically capable of doing something. For each of these words, I'm going to provide a couple examples of how I catch myself using this word, talk about why the use of that word is not helpful in those situations, and then offer suggestions for words we can use instead that are more truthful and empowering. So here are 2 examples from my life. Sometimes I say to Rhea, if she doesn't want to put on her shoes and we're going to go to the park, I catch myself saying, you can't go to the park without shoes on. Or let's say she wants me to read her books and I'm making dinner and I want to finish dinner as fast as possible. I say, I can't read books with you right now. I have to make dinner. Now, why are these statements problematic? First of all, neither of them are true. You can't go to the park without shoes on? Not true. You actually can go to the park without shoes on. There's no person at the park preventing anyone who tries to enter without shoes on from entering. In any of these situations, unless there is someone or something physically preventing you from doing the thing you're talking about, it's probably actually possible. You actually can go to the park without shoes on. So it's not true. What is true? The truth is I don't want Brea to go to the park without shoes on because I don't want her feet to get hurt. Same thing with I can't read books with you right now. I have to make dinner. Not true. I actually could. I could stop making dinner and read books with her. I totally could. You know what? Even if it meant that the kitchen was going to go up in flames and all the food was going to get burnt, I could still let that happen and go read books with her. Do I want that to be how things go? No, but it's not true that they can't go that way. So that's the first problem with the word can't, is that most of the time it's not true. The second problem with it is living in this lack of truth puts you in a scarcity mindset. And that's something that's going to come up for a lot of these words. When I say, I can't read books with you right now, I have to make dinner, my mindset is, I have no choice. There's not enough time. I'm going to die if I don't make dinner right now. It's not true. It's not putting me in an abundance mindset. It's putting me in this scarcity, there's not enough time mindset. What can we say instead of can't? To Brea, I would say, I won't let you go to the park without shoes on because I don't want your feet to get hurt. Let's put on your shoes. Even more simply, you can just say, let's put on shoes before we go to the park. You don't have to say you can't. You can just say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put on shoes before we go to the park. For the making dinner and books example, I could say, I'm going to make dinner right now, and then I'll read books with you after. I'm telling her straightforwardly, this is what I'm choosing to do. This is what I'm using my agency for. And I also want to read books with you. Whereas saying, I can't read books with you is a lie because you're basically saying, I don't have agency in this situation. I have no choice. I can't read books with you. That's not true. Own your choice. That doesn't mean that because you have the choice, you have to read books with your toddler because it's possible. No, just own your choice, and you're teaching your toddler. We all make choices, and we don't have to do what other people want us to all the time. And we can put other things first while still leaving the option open to do what someone else wants later. So that's why can't is problematic, because it's usually not true, and it's giving you this scarcity mindset where you're not taking accountability for your agency and your freedom to choose whatever you actually want in that situation. Another one is the phrase, don't have time. This is a more specific version of can't. It's blaming time for being the reason that you're not doing the thing that you didn't do. So here are two examples. One, I don't have time to get ready in the morning. And two, I didn't have time to go to the grocery store today. Those are two really simple examples. What are the problems of saying I don't have time? First, like can't, it's usually not true. I don't have time to get ready in the morning. Is that really true? Maybe you didn't make time, maybe you didn't prioritize getting ready in the morning, but you probably actually could have, and there was enough time for it. You just did other things with your time. And maybe those other things are really important to you, like taking care of a baby that was crying, or let's say even something super extreme like an emergency. Let's say your house flooded and that's what woke you up in the morning is your bed was soaking wet and you looked around and your whole house was flooded. Even in that extreme example, it's not actually true that you didn't have time to get ready in the morning. Because if you really wanted to, and if it was the most important thing in the world to you, you could have been like, okay, well, I'm not going to take care of this flood right now. I want to put on my makeup first. And you could have done it. You could have done it, but you didn't. And just own that. You don't need to blame it on time. It's not time's fault. You chose it. And maybe you think that was the best choice. And that's great. Same thing with the grocery store example. I didn't have time to go to the grocery store. Even if you had 5 doctor's appointments between you and your kids, and you had a church activity that you went to, and there was a baseball game for one child while there was a soccer game for another, and your calendar was completely full, you didn't have to do any of those things. You literally could have skipped the appointments. You could have skipped the soccer game, you could have skipped the baseball game, and gone to the grocery store if that was the most important thing to you. You could have, but you didn't. And so instead of saying, I didn't have time to go to the grocery store, just say, I didn't go today. I did other things instead that were more important to me. Cool. Now you're owning your agency. Now you're not blaming time for your choices. You're owning the fact that you made that choice. So instead of saying, I don't have time, you can say things like, I didn't wake up early enough to get ready this morning, taking responsibility for what you did. Or I didn't go to the grocery store today. I did other things. It's a simple statement of the actual facts that is going to help you get out of this scarcity mindset that there's never enough time and realize that actually time is unlimited and I am choosing every moment what I do with my time. Even if you think it's an obligation or something you have to do, it's actually not. You're always choosing. You're always choosing. Our third phrase is the phrase feel like. A couple examples. I use this example a lot because this is something that I am working on being responsible for my emotions and my thoughts and behavior with is your spouse coming home later from work than he said he was going to. Sometimes even if T-Bird is home only 5 minutes later than he said he would be, in my mind, I'm just like, oh my gosh, he doesn't care about me. He didn't tell me. He thinks it doesn't matter to me when he comes home, blah, blah, blah. And it's very easy in that moment to say to myself, I feel like he doesn't care about me. Here's the problem with I feel like. Feelings are real. Feelings are things like happiness, sadness, anger, embarrassment. They're these physical reactions that we have in our bodies. Usually what follows the words I feel like is actually not a feeling. When you were little and you read a book about all the feelings, maybe in your classroom there's a wheel of all the feelings from happy to scared to excited to sad to angry. Was one of the feelings on there, you don't care about me? What is the real feeling in that situation where I'm saying I feel like you don't care about me? The real feeling is sad or disappointed. So where does the you don't care about me part come from? It's really just a story I'm telling myself in my brain based on the facts. The facts are my husband, T-Bird, came home 5 minutes later than he said he would. Those are the bare facts. That's it and nothing else. And then I'm making those facts mean that he doesn't care about me. That is the story I'm telling myself. The problem is by putting the words I feel like before it, it's almost like a trump card where if I say it to him, I feel like you don't care about me right now. it's hard to argue with feelings, but the truth is you can't feel like someone doesn't care about you. You think they don't care about you because of what happened, but it's not a feeling. And by saying, I feel like, you're not taking responsibility for the fact that you came up with those thoughts and you created that story around what the circumstances mean. So that's the problem with the phrase, I feel like. It usually is followed by a made-up accusation, a made-up story, and we're not taking responsibility for the fact that we created that story. We act like our feelings just created that story. So what is the truth? Let's speak the truth instead. You can usually swap, I feel like, with the words, the story I'm telling myself. The story I'm telling myself is that you don't care about me. Sometimes even just making that swap in your head before you speak, you realize how silly that story is. And you don't even feel the need to say it anymore because you realize I was making up the story and it's obviously not true. And you'll become more curious about what the other person is actually thinking rather than assuming it's this accusation. And this doesn't mean that you can't talk about your feelings, just talk about what your actual feelings are. You could say, I could say to T-Bird, I feel sad right now, and I think it's because I'm telling myself this story that you don't care about me when you come home 5 minutes later than you say you will. And I would like some reassurance right now that that story is not true. That leaves it so much more open-ended for the other person and so much more lighthearted too, because you're recognizing in the moment, this can be totally made up. It probably is. And you're giving the other person the opportunity to tell you that it's not true. Whereas if you're lobbying this accusation at them, I feel like you don't care about me, they're probably going to get defensive and be sad and think, oh my goodness, I'm so sad you would assume that about my thoughts and feelings towards you based on me getting home 5 minutes late. So let's replace the words feel like with the story I'm telling myself, because that is going to help us take more accountability for the thoughts we're thinking and the stories we're telling ourselves, and also stop making false accusations, untruthful accusations against the people we love in our lives. The fourth word I want to talk about is need. This one might be a little controversial because there's a big cultural movement to get better at expressing our needs, and I appreciate the sentiment that we don't have to be feeling guilty for taking care of ourselves and asking for the things we want. But a lot of the times the word need is being used is not accurate. Again, it's not true, because what does need actually mean? It means you can't live without the thing. And if we're using need a lot of the time, we are going to put ourselves in a scarcity mindset where we think the things that we want, we can't live without and we're going to die without. And that just puts us in a scarcity, fearful mindset. A couple examples of ways that I catch myself saying need. Something as simple as saying to Brea, I need to use the bathroom. Like she wants me to play on the monkey bars with her. I'm like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom first. And then one with my husband, let's say I'm doing the dishes and Brea wants attention at the same time and I see that he's doing something on his computer. I'll be like, hey, I need help right now. I need you to help with Brea, or I need you to help with the dishes. And I don't think either of these sentences that I sometimes catch myself saying are true. I need to use the bathroom. You might be like, what, Brooklyn? You totally need to use the bathroom sometimes. Call me crazy, but I don't think need is the right word here. In reality, I could just pee my pants. I could. I would not die if I peed my pants and didn't go to the bathroom. Now, do I want to do that? No, but I don't go to the bathroom because I actually need to survive. It's because I don't want to pee my pants. That's why I need to use the bathroom. It's actually not true. And I need help. Again, the truth is, in that situation, most of the time I can just keep doing the dishes and keep chugging along with Brea crying for attention. And I don't actually need help to survive. I could do the whole thing by myself. But do I want help? Yeah. And I can just own that and speak the truth that I want help. This is really powerful because it leave space for the other person to have agency, and also it's less guilt trippy than saying I need help. If in that situation I want T-Bird to help me do the dishes or help play with Brea while I'm trying to do the dishes, if I say, hey, I need help right now, the message behind that is, you're ignoring me, you're ignoring the situation, obviously I need help right now and you're not doing anything, how could you? Whereas if I just say something as simple as, hey T-Bird, will you help me right now? That assumes that he was unaware and gives him more choice, and it actually will make it a better and a more conducive environment to him wanting to help than if I'm just like, hey, I need help. And then instead of saying, I need to use the bathroom, I can say something as simple as, I'm going to use the bathroom. I don't need to ask Freya's permission. I don't need to justify to her, I have to go to the bathroom right now, okay? You have to understand. No, like, I can just go and I can just tell her I'm going. And it doesn't need to be a dramatic thing like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die if I don't go to the bathroom. It can just be like, this is what I'm doing. As I've swapped out the word need for I'm going to in these situations, I've noticed myself feeling a lot more calm and a lot more confident. And Brea's more chill about it too. She's just like, okay, cool, this is what's happening. Whereas if I have this mentality of, okay, Brea, I want to read books with you, but I really need to go to the bathroom. Can you just let me go to the bathroom? Then it's just anxious energy and she'll get anxious too. And so being calm and confident in the choices we're making and not blaming it on our needs, quote unquote needs, is a really powerful thing. The next phrase, this is phrase 5, is have to, very similar to need. The example I'll use here is I have to wake up with my baby all night long, which was something I might have said to myself early in Brea's life when she was a newborn and she woke up a lot during the night. Why is it problematic to say I have to? It's basically making it out that you don't have a choice. You have no choice. There's no other option. Whereas there is usually an option. So again, it's not truthful to say I have to. Even if I can't sleep through Brea crying, what I could do instead is if I really didn't want to wake up, I could put her in another room, wear earplugs, and sleep through the night and not go help her when she cries. Now, is that the kind of mom I want to be? Heck no. So instead of saying I have to wake up with my baby all night, I can just say, I choose to, because that's the kind of mom I want to be. I want to be there for her when she wakes up in the middle of the night. By making that switch of I choose to and I want to instead of I have to, I'm owning my choices and I feel so much more empowered. I'm doing this because it's who I am rather than just I have to do this because I have no other choice. The final word, number 6, is let. And some examples of how I catch myself using this is something like, let me just finish the dishes real quick, or something like, my baby won't let me put her down. Again, problematic because not true. Saying to Brea, let me finish the dishes real quick. Is she stopping me? No, she can't stop me. I don't need her to let me. I can do whatever I want. And so it's just weird to say, let me finish the dishes real quick. Instead, I can say, I'm going to finish the dishes before I play with you. Just own the fact that you're doing that and don't act like you don't have a choice and you need to get your toddler's permission. Even if she screams the whole time I'm doing the dishes, she's not disallowing me from doing them. I'm still doing them. And so I'm trying to stop saying, let me do this, and instead say, I'm going to do this. Instead of saying, let me just run to the bathroom real quick, I'm going to say, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Not only is a sentence with let me in it usually not true, it also, again, puts us in this scarcity rushed mindset where we're at the mercy of our children. It's like, I have to get their permission in order to do this thing for myself, and I can't take care of myself unless they let me, whereas that's never true. You do what you want to do, and you can tell your kid what you're going to do, but you don't need to get their permission or use words that suggest that they can prevent you from doing the thing that you want to do. This is especially true with the my baby won't let me put her down example. This is something I've heard other people say, and I know I have said before, especially with really little babies that just cry and cry if you aren't holding them. The truth is, they are not preventing you from putting them down. You could totally put them down. Would they cry if you put them down? Maybe, probably, but that doesn't mean they're not letting you put them down. So what do you say instead that's true? I'm going to hold my baby because I don't want her to cry. Or my baby cried the last time I put her down, and so I'm going to keep holding her because I don't want her to cry again. The truth is, you have a choice between putting your baby down and letting her cry or holding her so she doesn't cry, and you are choosing the second choice. So instead of saying, my baby won't let me put her down, own the fact that you're choosing to hold your baby. And it's not because she's forcing you to, it's because you want to hold her and you want to avoid her crying. I hope that list is helpful. I want you to start noticing these words as you use them and notice the mindset you have when you use them, because it's going to help you as you start checking yourself and start rephrasing your sentences. You're going to feel more empowered and you are going to be more aware of your agency and start to feel more in charge of your life. Because the truth is, you are 100% in charge of your life. It's just you're unconsciously telling yourself that you're not by using these words. And also you're teaching your kids too. I have a friend who I was talking to about these concepts, and she was saying how this is exactly a realization that she had with her own child. This friend's name is Audrey and her daughter's name is Lucy. And she said she was noticing that Lucy, who's like 2 years old, was starting to say things like, I need that toy, I need that toy, I need that toy. Or like, I need a snack, I need a snack. really urgently, even in situations where it wasn't urgent. And Audrey was like, why is she doing this? And then she realized that she was doing this exact same thing. She was modeling this for Lucy by saying things like, okay, Lucy, I need to go to the bathroom. I need to go to the bathroom. It's teaching our kids that when we want something, it's a need and we're going to die without it. Whereas I want to teach my kids, and Audrey realized she wanted to teach Lucy, that we're always choosing. We can do all the things we want to. We can also own the fact that we want something. It doesn't have to be a need in order for us to deserve to get it. We can want it and we can do it, and that is awesome. And that is the awesome thing about agency. To wrap up, I wanted to mention a couple scriptures that back up this new way of thinking and speaking. First, Matthew 6:7, Jesus says, when you pray, use not vain repetitions. Obviously, I didn't talk about prayer today, but this principle applies. We want to be intentional with our words, and a lot of the times we are vainly repeating these words that put us in the scarcity, anti-agency mindset. We are not thinking about it. We're just repeating the phrases, I need to, I have to, I didn't have time to, without really thinking and questioning if those things we're saying are true. Also, one of the 10 commandments is, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Basically, don't lie. Even if you're not intentionally telling lies through these words, and even if you think, oh, Brooklyn, well, my daughter knows what I mean. She knows that I don't actually mean I'm going to die if I don't go to the bathroom right now. Let's stop assuming people know what we mean, and let's just start speaking the truth. And there's lots of good scriptures in Proverbs about our words and the effect that they have on us and others. Proverbs 6:2 says, thou art snared with the words of thy mouth, thou art taken with the words of thy mouth. In all of these examples, our words can snare us. They can make us feel trapped when actually we're not. When you say, I have to do this, or I need to do this, or I can't do this, you're telling yourself a story that is not true, and you're limiting your agency. And I bet that makes Satan so happy. He's like, ha ha, she totally can do something else, but she doesn't even realize it, and she is not using the agency that she fought so hard for. I'm winning, ha ha ha. Proverbs 10:19-20 says, he that refraineth his lips is wise, the tongue of the just is as choice as silver. I love that. Let's be very choice. Let's have a choice tongues, be very choice with our words, the words we use, and refrain to use our lips for things that are not true. Last one, Proverbs 17:27, he that hath knowledge spareth his words. As we gain more knowledge, we're going to become more and more aware of the lies we're telling ourselves and others. We are going to spare the words that are not helping us and start speaking words that speak truth. And that is my challenge today, is start to be more aware of the words you are saying to yourself and to your children, and questioning if they are really true. I want you to start speaking the truth, and I promise you that as you do that, you are going to start owning more of your agency. You're going to start feeling more empowered and in control of your life, and living in truth is so much better than running around with the scarcity mindset that these lies are giving us. I hope these concepts help you as much as they have helped me. Thanks so much for listening. I will talk to you guys next week.